here with my morning tea. I'm having blueberry again. Surprise, surprise. I've been pretty addicted to this tea now. But yeah, today I kind of wanted to talk about the concept of how silence doesn't determine how strong or weak you are. I think oftentimes silence gives you a lot of benefits. For example, just looking at legal proceedings, like people often use their right to remain silent because oftentimes when you're in a state of distress, you often make a mistake of saying something that you don't mean, and it's often better to brainstorm a story to be broadcasted that is what you actually think. And it doesn't mean like you're giving up or you're weak or any of those things, and that's what I wanted to talk about in today's subject. That act of choosing not to respond to something can be so powerful. It's a sense of self-control, right? Because in many times in arguments, you don't want to be silent because they're saying things that are just not true about you, and you want to respond, but oftentimes it's out of anger and nothing really gets solved, and it becomes more of a debate. But I think a more productive option is silence most of the time. But yeah, I really wanted to remind that in this video. It's kind of like a important concept to be used in many scenarios. Speaking up to something, when someone, for example, a bully or whatever, can be brave, right? It is sometimes the right course of action because you can't just take it, you can't take these accusations and stuff. But sometimes being brave also means staying silent as well, right? Because they're people that are just trying to get anger out of you or trying to get a response out of you, and silence not only doesn't fulfill them trying to get that anger out of you, so they're not winning, but it also helps yourself and helps your case because it doesn't make you more angry, and it doesn't feed into their obsession with trying to get that rage out of you. Silence is good to use for a peaceful environment. It gives you time to reflect. It gives you time to be with yourself instead of for others. I feel like oftentimes if you see on YouTube or news articles or news outlets, it's like you're looking at people that are oftentimes just trying to fulfill others' needs. Like if something comes out, like a new game or whatever, they have to play it, or some political news is coming out, they have to talk about it, you know what I mean? But oftentimes in us, I feel like because of news and because of those, like seeing how popular people are kind of forced to give their opinion on something, we tend to adapt the same thing around common folk, I feel like we shouldn't adapt this habit because it's forcing us to be like something that we don't need to do, It's even people at the top, they don't need to do it, right? It's just people tend to try to get a reaction, try to get an opinion so fast, so quickly, and silence is a lot better. You need to be able to reflect and think, and but it's also about respecting boundaries as well, I feel like, like you don't have to keep fulfilling everyone else's needs and telling your side of the story when they're not there for you, if that person that is trying to get your side of the story is not like being actually trying to hear from you, more like they're just extracting information and relaying it to others, you shouldn't fulfill their needs. It's none of their business, and you don't need to fulfill their desires of, like drama or whatever. I feel like so many times there's people that you meet in your life and like you haven't seen in so long, and then when they come back into your life, they're like asking about like things that you're like, oh wow, okay, someone told you this about me, great, wow. Like, you're not a real friend. You're just there, you just come into my life whenever there's drama or something, and that's when you need to exhibit silence. to that person. You know, you can't. It's privacy. It's respect. It's, you know, it's not only your right, but it's like manners, kind of. You know, it's like it's positive for you and it's positive for the other person as well. You can't just keep feeding into that mentality. You know, let people underestimate you. Let people judge. Let people do all these things because you're living your life. You know what your life is about. You know your opinion. You know all these things. You don't need to relay that information to others just because they're desiring this. You know, all they're gonna do with, what are they gonna do with that information? That's what you need to ask yourself before you start to break that silence, is what are they going to do with this information? You know, like, are they actually there for me? Are they there for my opinion? Are they just for, like, you know, the drama or whatever? Like, you need to be able to have respect for yourself in these scenarios. You know, all the time. I've experienced so many times where people, like, in my life I thought were friends, and they just, like, they come and go just for the drama. Essentially, they're just here for the drama, and oh man, I've really experienced that with, like, relationships, especially when you break up with someone and you see, like, all those friends, like, gone after that. It's like, wow, like, you were just there because, you know, it was the dynamic of the relationship, and, you know, it's like, damn, I got to see the true picture of who this person is. You know, it's like forced interaction. You're kind of, you know, and I was just fulfilling their desires of questions or, you know, interactions. And then once the relationship was gone, there they went. You know, it's like, you can't keep doing this to yourself. You're just feeding them, and then leave nothing for yourself. You know, leave yourself that respect and choose silence. You know, of course, you don't have to do it all the time, because there is very much times where you need to speak out. You need to show your side of the story so people don't make assumptions about you. The people that care about you, you know, the people that love you, you need to be able to explain the reason, and, you know, those things. Those are the moments you do. But that's why I said, ask yourself, what are they going to do with this information? Is it actually helpful? But it's just a reminder that choosing silence often poses many benefits, and it's not a sign of weakness. It's not a sign of vulnerability or anything. You know, it's like, you need to be able to respect both sides, silence and bravery of speaking out. But yeah, that's what I kind of wanted to talk about in today's video. I hope you enjoyed some tea with me, and let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. But much love, and I'll see you in the next one.